وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم نور قلوبنا بالعلم وزين أخلاقنا بالحلم وافتح بيننا وبين قومنا بالحق وأنت خير الفاتحين. ثم أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. حياكم الله جميعا، طبتم وطابوا ومشاكم وتبواتم من جنة منزلا بإذن الله. Within those just very few minutes from now until 9:40, I think, where we're going to start Salat al-Isha, let's go through the basic rules of identifying the zakatable wealth or zakatable assets that we have and how to calculate the zakat accordingly. Let's start with the first and the most important category, which is the cash money that you have. The cash money that you have. Doesn't make any difference if that cash is for saving purposes, or for investment purposes, or for business purposes, for hajj, for marriage, for purchasing a house, whatever the reason behind holding the money, as long as the money is in your possession and stayed for one complete year and already reached a nisab. And nisab actually is 85 grams of gold, which is nowadays, I would say, equivalent to maybe $5,000. If the gram of gold is for $55, simple math, 85 grams times 55, I would say around $5,000. So the cash that you have, whether it is in the form of cash money or saved in your checking account or in your saving account, although saving account is not a halal option to start with. If you have a cryptocurrency, then you need to find out the market value or the purchasing power of that cryptocurrency and the zakat due date, which is most probably, I would say, in the beginning of the month of Ramadan, because the vast majority of us actually mark their calendar for the month of Ramadan to pay their zakat. The second category actually is the business, and I would assume that the majority of us here, not even all of us, are professionals. We work for a company and we receive a paycheck every two weeks or every month. Do not worry about the cash flow that you experience throughout the whole year long. Some people actually get confused when they want to apply what's called hawalan al-hawl, like the passage of one lunar year. They think that every single payment they receive has to stay in your position for one complete year and then you pay zakah on it, which is absolutely incorrect, right? Hawalan al-hawl means that you as an individual, as a practicing Muslim, you pay your zakah once a year. You pay your zakah once a year. Do not worry about the cash flow that you experience, okay, every 2 weeks or every 1 month. Even if you work as a consultant, maybe, or just self-employed, you have your own practice, you work as a medical doctor, as a professor, as a consultant, as an attorney, right? Engineer, you have your own practice, you have your own customers or patients if you are a doctor, right? You receive customers, patients, and consequently money almost on a daily basis, right? Every single day you receive certain amount of money. Again, do not worry about the cash flow that you experience. You don't have to document that money that you receive. Just make sure that you set your calendar for the beginning of the month of Ramadan, right? To find out how much cash money you have available, accessible, right? And then you deduct all the due debts, anything that is due, anything that's called payable, right? You have a mortgage payment for the mortgage company, another payment for the car, for the furniture, some other due debts, you just put them aside. You still owe the IRS, for example, a certain amount of money, did not pay your tax for this year in full. Everything that that is due, you put it aside, and the net amount, if it is still $5,000 or more, then you have to consider paying zakah on it. Some people mistakenly think that if the threshold or the nisab, the minimum amount, is 5,000, then, and you have reached it already, then you have to pay whatever is on top of the nisab. Let's say that you have $30,000. Some people think that the zakah is due on the 25,000, not on the nisab, which is wrong. The use of the nisab actually, or the point behind the nisab, is to determine whether or not you are a zakat payer. Once you hit that threshold, 5,000 or more, then all what you have is still zakatable. Back to the cash flow or the paycheck that you receive. Keep receiving money, save whatever you do not need, and spend whatever you need, بالمعروف وكلوا واشربوا ولا تسرفوا إنه لا يحب المسرفين. Do not lead an extravagant lifestyle as practicing Muslim. Whatever you still have from the money that you receive from your main source of income, which is the job that you have, right? Whatever money you have in your account, in the zakat you did, that is the zakatable one. Another confusing point here is that, do I have to pay zakat on the very last paycheck that I received just maybe 1 or 2 days before the beginning of Ramadan? Okay, it did not stay in my position for one complete year. Well, you have to take into consideration it is still a zakatable money. Why? Because hawalan al-hawl again means that you as a zakat payer, you are mandated or required to pay zakat al-mal once a year only. Once a year only. Now, once, like if you want to go with the book and be very, technically correct, the zakat due date actually is not the month of Ramadan, by the way. It is actually 1 year after the accumulation or the constitution of the nisab. Okay? Let's say that you tracked your financial records and you found out that the very first day of the year where you accumulated $5,000 was the month of Rajab, for example, right? Well, this is actually the beginning of your hawl. This is the beginning of the fiscal lunar year. In the Rajab of next year, you're supposed to pay zakat al-mal. However, in the real life, I would say it's even close to impossible to remember which day, okay, or which month you accumulated in nisab. So we just take it easy and set the month of Ramadan as our zakat due date, which is fine in the law of Rahman. By any chance, if you found out that your nisab started in the month of Rajab, and you do not feel comfortable paying your zakah in Rajab, you want to pay your zakah in the month of Ramadan, what should you do? In the very first year, you pay your zakah in the month of Rajab. You cannot postpone it, you cannot delay it. You have to pay it in time. Salah is like zakah. Whenever it is salah time, we just stop everything and we stand for the salah, right? Whenever it is zakah time, you have to stop everything and pay your zakah. And that's why, by the way, salah and zakah have been combined together for more than 80 different, 80 different times in the Quran. أقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة and so on and so forth. So once your zakah is due, you have to stop everything and you pay your zakah. If your zakah is due in the month of Rajab for the very first year, pay your zakah and you need to pay 2 more months extra. Okay, so you pay for 1 year and for the month like Rajab, Sha'ban, Ramadan, right? So you pay 2 more months. In the next year, you don't have to pay your zakah in the month of Rajab anymore because you have shifted, the hawl and the zakah due date to be in the month of Ramadan. Is it okay for you to pay your zakah in the month of December for tax, filing purposes? That would be fine as well. But your zakah due date will not be 2.5. It will be 2.575. It will be 2.575 to accommodate the 10 days difference between the Gregorian calendar versus the lunar one. This is actually when it comes to the cash flow that you experience. Okay, the logic behind it is that you have a main source of income, which is your job if you are an employee or a professional work for a company, or your own business if this is like what you do, right? From that main source of income, you accumulate a nisab. You save the nisab, $5,000. Whatever comes on top of the nisab will be taken the same rules of the nisab. Your nisab, we just agreed that our nisab and our zakat due date is in the month of Ramadan. In the month of Ramadan, whatever money you have accessible, owned by you, came from that source of income, your job, your profession, whatever has been added up to that nisab will be taken the same rule of the nisab. Even if you have received like one check, $10,000, $15,000 just 1 or 2 days before the beginning of Ramadan, as long as the nisab is already accumulated, whatever is added up to that nisab will be taken the same rule of the nisab. So yes, if you have received a big check 1 or 2 days before the beginning of Ramadan, and you do have a nisab already, right, and your zakat due date is in the month of Ramadan, then yes, whatever you receive has to be added up to that nisab, and you pay zakat on everything. Some people actually prefer to pay their zakah on monthly basis. I know some brothers who prefer to deduct 2.5% from every single check that they receive. Can you do that? Well, yes, you can. You can. Do you have to do so? You do not have to. You do not have to. And there is a big difference between can I pay my zakat on a monthly basis versus do I have to pay your zakat? Yes, you can, right? But you do not have to, because zakat mal is to be paid annually and not monthly. And subhanAllah, there is a wisdom behind that, by the way, which is to give you a breather, give you enough time to establish a business or to make some profit in order for you to set off the zakat, the 2.5% from the profit that you make. But if you decide to pay your zakat on a monthly basis, it defeats the purpose of having that long breather of one complete year where you can establish a business and start generating income and profit to set off or to pay off the zakat. A retirement account is another topic that we always ask about. Well, let's make it investment in the stock market, because your retirement account is a kind of investment in the stock market. Let's divide it in two different categories. Retirement account versus anything else that is not, well, anything else that is considered as an investment in the stock market, outside the retirement account. Your retirement account could be a pension plan if you work for the government, state or federal or county, right? And it could be 401k if you work for corporate America. It could be 403b if you work for non-for-profit organizations, and so on and so forth. The easiest way to determine the zakat in your 401k is to go with the withdrawable amount or the accessible amount. How much you have an access to in the zakat due date. Okay? You calculate your zakat in the month of Ramadan, and you have your own 401k. Okay, to keep it simple, you have an investment that's worth $100,000. I know that you are not supposed to touch your 401k. Okay? It is a retirement account. You wait until the age of retirement, or Allah forbids in case of disability or death. However, if you insist in withdrawing as much as you can from your 401k, there is a way to do so. You can file or apply for hardship, or sometimes they call it humanitarian case, whatever. You will be having an access to a certain percentage of your account. Okay? You consult with your employer, with your investment company, Fidelity or Vanguard or whatever. Okay? Let's say, for example, that if you apply for hardship or humanitarian case, you will be having an access to 50% of your account. You can withdraw 50% of your account. So the withdrawable amount in our example is $50,000, right? 50,000, because the total is 100,000. If you decide to proceed, you will not be taking home 50,000. Okay, that is the withdrawable amount. If you decide to proceed, you will be penalized. You will be charged sometimes interest, processing fees, penalty, tax, whatever. You do the math, how much you have to pay, or how much deduction actually you will be experiencing if you decide to proceed. You do the math, and the net amount is the zakatable one. Well, even that net amount, you don't have to pay zakat on it 100%. You can still deduct another maybe 15 or 20 or even 25% usul thabita, the fixed assets, because that account actually represents stocks in the market, and those stocks actually belong to companies. Companies usually do not have 100% commodities and merchandise and goods and services, right? They do have usul thabita, fixed assets, like offices and furniture and machineries and trucks and software and hardware and so on and so forth, right? So let's say 20-25% usul thabita, that is the deductible amount. So you can deduct another maybe 15, 20, 25%, and you pay zakat on the very, very net amount. Okay, that is the zakatable part, and you have to do the same exercise every single year. Bear in mind that you don't have to physically withdraw the money. It's just like a very theoretical math that you do to determine the zakat in your 401k, right? You do the same exercise every single year in the month of Ramadan. Maybe this is not what you have been practicing for the last few years, which is fine, because that's a very contemporary issue. If you ask different people of knowledge, you will be receiving different answers. Some people said, like some scholar, mashayikh, say that the retirement account is zakat free. You don't have to worry about the zakat until you have an access to it. right? And some said, no, I mean, this is the big like chunk of money that you have where you have to pay zakat on. So you pay zakat on 100%, of your 401k. In our fiqh council in Amja, we believe that both opinions are a kind of like, extreme a little bit. We do not say that you have to pay zakat on everything that you have, right? Because one of the conditions for the zakatability of the money is what's called the mulku tam. Al-mulku tam raqabatan wa yadan. Full ownership and full access. Yes, whatever you have in your 401k is your money, whether your contribution or the match of your employer, whatever you have in your account is your money. So the ownership actually is there, but the problem is with the accessibility. You do not have a full access to your 401k, right? So we do not say that you have to pay zakat on everything because of lacking that accessibility, and we do not say that you have that this is a zakat exempt, because I mean, if you do not have to pay zakat on your 401k, then what else you have to pay zakat on, right? So we go with this formula. You go with the withdrawable amount or accessible amount, minus any prescribed, penalty, tax, processing fees, whatever net amount. If you want to be in the safe side, just pay zakat 2.5% of that net amount. If you want to go with the book and you do not want to pay extra, like on top of the zakat, you still can take another 15, 20, 25% from the net amount as usul thabit, as I said, and you pay zakat on the rest. If your retirement account is not accessible whatsoever, like if you have a pension plan, if you work for the government, usually you cannot withdraw from it. Even if you file for hardship or humanitarian case, whatever, no access whatsoever. If that is proven, then you do not have to pay zakat on your 401k. You don't have to pay zakat on your pension plan as well. Now, whatever is outside your retirement account, even if it is an IRA, individual retirement account that has nothing to do with your employer, right? Any other investment could be like a brokerage account or simple investment account, a mutual fund account, or what else? 529 for the education for your kids, AGMA account for your minors, and so on and so forth. All these different accounts and many, many more, all of them are accessible. If you decide to liquidate your IRA, right, it's just a matter of phone call. Within 1 or 2 days, you will be getting all the cash money transferred to your checking account. So the qaida here, the standard here is that whatever accessible is zakatable, right? If it is 529 IRA, what else, brokerage account, then it is accessible, and thus it is zakatable in full. You don't have to pay zakat on 100% of the amount, right? Because even when it comes to IRA, it is a taxable money, especially if it is like a Roth IRA, right? So you do the math again. How much is the total amount that you have investment in your IRA? And if you decide to withdraw everything, how much tax you have to pay? How much processing fees or penalty you have to pay? You do the math and you find out the net amount and you pay zakat on it based on 2.5%. Something to take into consideration here, which is the fact that some people are very inactive in the stock market. Inactive in a sense that you open an account, let's say with TD Ameritrade, right? And you purchased $10,000 worth of investment stocks, but you are not that interested in buying and selling and trading and keep trading and speculating in the stock market. You just purchased a certain amount of stocks and you are happy with the dividend or the profit that you make every year. If this is your common practice, you are not that active, you do not buy and sell, then you don't have to pay zakat on the book value of your stocks. You pay zakat on the dividend only, because that is the profit, that is the zakatable part. While the stocks in this very specific scenario is zakat exempt. Why? Because stocks actually are not urud tijar, they are not for sale. Yeah, they are not for sale. Unlike if you are inactive in the market, okay, you do have a TD Ameritrade account, but you are active either by yourself or somebody else actually is doing the business on your behalf. Like when you open an account, an investment account with any of those Muslim-based, they call them socially responsible mutual fund companies, like Amana and Zad and Sharia portfolio. Somebody else is doing the business on your behalf. I mean, yes, you are not active in the market, but that mutual fund company is active in the market. They do not sleep on the stocks that you open an account with them. They just keep, trading and buying and selling, right? Now, since you are active either directly or indirectly, then all what you have in your account is zakatable. The only exception here is that if you are the one who is managing your account, and again, you are very inactive, even if you buy and sell maybe like 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year, no big deal, right? Versus somebody else who's really active, watching the news 24/7, buying and selling. That individual is the one who has to pay zakah on everything, on the book value plus the dividend or the profit. And it doesn't make any difference, by the way, if you take the dividend or just capitalize it, like add it back to your account and purchase more financial instrument, it doesn't make any difference. Everything actually is zakatable. If you are not active in the market, then you pay zakah on what? Only on the dividend that you make. If there is no dividend, no profit whatsoever, and those stocks are just like in your account, they are not making any profit whatsoever, there is no zakah on what you have. Something else is the long-term investment. Long-term investment in a sense that you buy a piece of land, okay? And what you have in mind is that I do want to sell it now. I just want to wait, sleep on it maybe 5, 10, 15 years. Whenever my kids grow and go to school or to universities and colleges, I will sell it and spend on my kids. If that is the plan and that is the practice, so it's not active in the market, there is no agent waiting for potential proposals, or if that is the practice, then you do not have to pay zakah on that land. You don't have to. Once you change your mind, and you put it active in the market, it becomes urud tijar. It becomes something like sellable, right? like any other commodity or merchandise that you might have, and thus you have to consider paying zakah on it, even if it is not sold. So you put it in the market, it stayed for 1 complete year, 2 years, 3 years, active in the market, and it was not sold for some reason. Well, you still have to consider paying zakah on it based on its market value by publish. That is the long-term investment. Anything that is for your personal use, the house that you live in, the car that you drive, the furniture that you have, utensils that you have, the jewelry that your wife uses, although this is a very debatable issue, as long as the jewelry is within the average that other ladies in that society have, and it's not for commercial purposes. You and your wife are not buying jewelry and selling for business. There is no profit motive behind buying jewelry. If that is the case, what your wife has is within the average for her personal use, then even the jewelry that she has is still zakah exempt. Even if you have more than one house, maybe you have one house here in the USA and the other house overseas. Okay, as long as that house is not for rent, is not for sale, right? It's just waiting for you whenever you go vacation, use it. If that is the case, then it is still actually zakah exempt. This is a very, very brief introduction to the most important rules of zakah. We still have, we do not have time, right? We still have 0 minutes, so it's not a common time. If we finish before 11 o'clock, I'll be inshallah more than happy to sit with you inshallah and have more discussion. Otherwise, inshallah, I'll be visiting you on the second weekend of October 14th, inshallah, and we'll continue our discussion. Jazakumullah khair.